Greetings Traveler Challenger here. Today we are playing Diablo 2 Resurrected as a Barbarian, but I will only allow myself to equip Ethereal items for me and my mercenary. This already seems like a bad choice, but I think I have a good idea on how to approach this one, so let the challenge begin. Rules: only using Ethereal items, using charms and sockets. Run ends with killing Bale on Hell. This is solo self-found, no shared stash used. This is hardcore run, 1 life, no deaths. So what exactly are Ethereal items? These are transparent, more powerful versions of normal items that cannot be repaired through vendors and have their requirements lowered. So they require less statistics to be used, but also their sell value is drastically lower. Ethereal items are especially good on mercenaries, as equipment does not degrade in durability while mercenary is using it, making those transparent versions actually preferable for our little helpers. Amulets, rings, arrows, bolts, bows, crossbows, set items and faceplates in particular cannot drop as ethereal, but there are certain items like unique silver edge axe, ethereal edge, that are always ethereal and cannot spawn as a normal grade. There are certain loopholes that this can be leveraged or fixed to a certain degree, and they are safe to use by our character. One such thing is of course Zodrune, that provides indestructible when socketed into the item. Another is Affix, that provides self-repair, making good rare items very valuable and wanted. So you might be thinking, why Barbarian? After all, this might be the most equipment dependent class in the entire game, and yes, exactly because of that I chose him. This ought to be a challenge, not a walk in a park. That said, I have something specific in mind for this and at least circumvent this constraint to work in my favor instead. In the meantime, I took my first skill, that is Bash, which might be the worst skill in the game. It is a single target damage attack with increased damage and attack rating and very unfortunate knockback, which is the worst thing for the melee attacker. Just before entering Stony Field I found my first ethereal item, a lowly leather armor. It is nothing amazing, but I can use it, and just before it breaks, I will give it to Claudia so she can cherish it for entire 30 minutes before she is replaced. My first weapon is almost as impressive as the armor. I found earlier a short staff with 1 to 7 damage and some slight hatred for undead, but better than nothing I guess. There is one more problem in this whole ordeal. Vendors do not sell ethereal items, and that also does apply to gambling, so gold is more or less useless in this run outside of buying potions, scrolls and reviving my mercenary. So normally on probably any other run I would spend next 20 to 30 minutes farming runes here, to make at least stealth in next act, but in this challenge rune wards are less useful, I would say. I mean, not entirely, I can still create them and wear it for some time or for harder fights, but long term it is not sustainable, as there are only 6 rune wards in the game with indestructible affix, and 3 of those are using Zodrune. So maybe some rune wards that can repair themselves. Yeah, there are 2 of those. Exile, which is paladin specific shields only, or Prudence armor. That would actually be quite good if I can get it, but it requires Malrune and I don't think it is likely I will get it in the playthrough. There is an upside however, as I found one thing I was looking for, an ethereal javelin. Not specifically this I was looking for, but it can be thrown, which means I can now present you my strategy, and to nobody's surprise it is throwing mastery. It provides attack rating, more damage, chance of critical hit, chance to pierce the target, and 2 most important things, chance to not consume quantity and replenish it on critical strikes. So now you see, at least for weapons I am kind of in a clear, just another pair in the other hand and I am good. I also found this free open socket ethereal spear that I have been using on a swap, and while it will break in some time I will simply not allow it, as it can be a perfect weapon for desert mercenary, and I could even create a malice in it for him. which would skyrocket the damage and carry us easily for some time. Now I have two weapons in both hands. Sadly, none of them are throwables, but can't complain much, so I decided to take double swing and double throw. Basically the same ability, but one is for melee and one is for throwing. Increased damage, attack rating while attacking with both weapons. Exciting! Ethereal isn't the most difficult boss, but considering I am either having bad equipment or not having anything in certain slots outright, it is not exactly the easiest task ever. I had to circle around the arena until I was able to heal enough to eventually take her out. Sadly, no drops were eligible for me. Now the important thing that will surely ease this run: hiring a proper mercenary that can wield the same equipment as I do and do some damage. I chose Wahid with Blessed Aim for more reliable attacks, and just getting him that spear already puts him above and beyond in terms of damage. Well, since I have that spear and I did not use any sockets for anything yet, I decided to go back to tower to get some runes for that Malice, and now this amazing weapon for Merc. Oh no, fuck, I completely forgot about the level requirement. Well, it will have to wait for 2 more levels then. That said, even without weapon he's much better helper than Claudia, mostly due to his AI that is front-centered toward the enemy, acting like a tank for a group, which can be detrimental for him, but at least it is taking off the hit from me. Finally got him to level 15 when he can use the spear, and boy oh boy does he use it. He became the main damage dealer in the party and does the job pretty well, getting us the cube in no time. Man, I feel useless. In the Halls of the Dead I found this ethereal throwing axe, so things started to, well, move along, as I am at least able to clear something. So in Maggot Lair, where sometimes I can pierce the target, things are dying in rather consistent manner. Alright, the second pair of throwing axes, now we're talking. Finally, I can use double throw and clear speed is vastly improved. Maybe not the fastest, but I could at least grab that Viper amulet. Wait, what? Did he die after a single throw? That was disappointing. Because the equipment is a constant struggle, I decided to level up a bit before going to Ethereal, as I knew that this fight will not be easy, so we chucked some thawing potions for cold resistance and went bug hunting. And well, what do you know? Turns out that if you have a weapon that deals a lot of damage, this little bugger is rather easy. Of course, the main villain here is a lack of belt, so I had to slot my potions mid-fight. He dropped 2 uniques, Ringmail, Dark Glow, which is very nice for resistances, and Longbow, Ravenclaw, with unique explosive arrows effect, but sadly nothing is ethereal. Because vendors are not offering any ethereal items, I cannot really shop for stuff with teleport charges. Lucky for me, Barbarian has 2 skills in his kit that can help with that. Those are Leap and Leap Attack, which cannot be more self-explanatory skills. They are also a great option for traversal. So far the biggest advantage of using the items, in fact, I can put more points into vitality, so my health pool is massive. But honestly, I would like to at least get any belt to not constantly going into inventory to heal or replenish mana. It is so annoying. Because jewelry cannot be ethereal, I am using it normally. They are not breaking anyway, so there is no cost associated unless they have some special spell charges. But I digress. Ormus gave me a nice ring for Gitbin, and even though cast rate does not concern me, attack rating, lightning resistance and magic find are very nice. Normally lower Kurast is farmed for the high runes and not exactly gear, but those super chests are always dropping massive amount of trash, which in this case is my treasure I am looking for. Just set player count to 8 and collect the crops. I've got a couple of items, mainly 2 throwing weapons and a belt, So prime time to move on and get some attribute points by getting Lamb Essence Book from Ruined Temple. I need that 5 points to get my balanced axe, because somehow I am not agile enough to wield a giant axe in one hand. One nice thing about the belts, even if they break, that does not really matter. Sure, you are losing the defense and affix benefits, but they can still hold potions, which in my case is the primary objective here. Turns out that if I have weapons in both hands and I can throw them, damage is really high. That said, you actually want ethereal weapons on most of the throwing builds, since they cannot be socketed or do not have any rune words. Mephisto dropped 3 nice things: Saigon's belt, a unique Brandystock blood thief, and Crash Flange mace. Nothing is ethereal, so it is going to trash. Somewhere during everything that was happening, I took 1 point into each passive I had available. That is increased stamina, iron skin that provides more defense, and increased speed that provides more run and walk speed. And because my throwing mastery is maxed out, I can now start investing into something else. Nothing was really happening in this act, just standard stuff. Got my 2 points from Isual, moved to Chaos Sanctuary to clear everything, where really the only problem was Infector of Souls due to his speed and ferocity. Diablo, however, was quite tough son of a devil. First of all, he can kill my mercenary in an instant, and without him I cannot reliably hit this spiky bastard. On top of that, one of my weapons ran out of ammunition, forcing me to use a single throw to run him down until the end, which is not ideal for the future. He dropped Set Curies, Bane's Oathmaker, new addition to the game with faster run walk and maximum damage bonus based on character level. This is not going exactly as I imagined, and it is harder than it looks. Weapons, when I have them, deal great damage, but the main thing is that I still cycle through them quite often, as simply throwing mastery does not recover them enough to be self-sustained. I hope to find something with replenished durability soon. Now my resistances are coming almost exclusively from charms and jewelry. I am not even fully equipped at this moment, as some of the pieces are breaking faster than the others or change more frequently, but I will not say no to a free bonus. I really wanted to farm normal Mephisto to try and get some maybe unique throwing weapon, but to my dismay, there are no normal level uniques that can be thrown. Moreover, there are only 2 exceptional ones for Barbarian, so not great. On the upside, I found this superior halberd with 3 open sockets, so I did another malice for my merc, much more powerful than the first one. Even though I am once again down to just 1 weapon, Ancients are getting absolutely clapped. Like, it is not even funny how much they are getting their asses handed to them. So after the fight I took 2 more skills. Battle Orders, which improves maximum life, mana and stamina for everyone in my party, and Battle Command. This one improves skill levels for all skills, both amazing and very useful. Quickly after that I got another level and another skill, passive this time, Natural Resistance, which improves all my resistances. Bale was by far the toughest fight so far. I can deal with basic monsters pretty easily, but bosses are entirely different beast. Through the entire duration of the fight I was trying to be in a melee distance so I can take all the heat from his attacks, as my mercenary is by far the strongest of us two. So I did not want him to die, so we followed Bale like sheep, chasing his tail until he was dead. Sadly, no usable drops. You see, my gear so far is less than ideal. Gloves and boots are breaking constantly, and weapons are getting depleted if I am not lucky enough or I am missing my throws. Hell, I am missing 2 entire pieces of gear so far. But I have a bit of a plan, so let's move on to get to another skill point by sadly throwing spears at corpse fire. I found a soul rune in normal and then another one here in underground passage. So now I just need to find a nice polearm that I could use for my mercenary, and he would have a beastly insight. That would likely suffice him until the rest of the run. Got a couple of runes from Countess, mainly to be able to provide my mercenary for the future, but also to possibly level a bit and get some weapons, and yet again, I am a proud owner of 2 throwing weapons, at least for some time. Going through barracks, I thought I could get Malus, as apparently you can imbue ethereal items and they will keep this property. Honestly, I never tried it, but more problematic is the fact that I do not own a single item I would want to imbue, so getting the base will be way harder than anticipated. To help myself a bit with hitting and surviving the monsters, I took 1 point into Battle Cry, which lowers the damage and defenses of the afflicted parties, making them easier to hit. So with that, we hit Andariel and holy shit, I am weak. I literally checked player count at 1 point to see if it is not something other than 1, but no, I am just that underpowered. So it took like 5 minutes to take her down. She dropped a rare barbed club, which is probably the most powerful weapon so far that I can use. Although it is not exactly to be thrown, so maybe for a second swap. I completely forgot to switch mercenary to get Might Aura before checking how Radament is doing, but straight after that I hired Wahid in place of, well, Wahid, to provide more physical damage for us both. Since again I lost one of my weapons, I decided to try and farm a base ethereal item in the pits. And fortunately I got a War Javelin. Then I went to Charcy to imbue it and hell yeah, it works. Mind that the item itself was trash, but there is a potential for some progress here. This change now single-handedly allows me to push through, as damage is, well, it exists. But as you can see, I was able to get the Staff of Kings, and while I was going through Lost City, I found a scale armor and it has 2 sockets. Something that might be very useful later in the run if I have the right runes. Oh, this is nice. I found this ethereal lance with 3 open sockets. Only problem that realistically at this stage I can just make another malice in it. But hey, that is another bump in damage and that I cannot really afford to miss.
I'll put that to good use.
Going through Arcane Sanctuary, I decided to take 1 point into Frenzy. Sure, it is a melee skill, but I can just hit something quickly, run back, throwing my stuff at them, and it will still give me more attack and run speed, so I think it is worth a point. Such a shame that the set items cannot be ethereal, as this would be an amazing addition to my gear. Horizon's Hold with Crushing Blow, Life, Dexterity, Fire Damage and Attack Rating. For Duriel, I spiked us yet again with Thawing Potions for that stacking cold resistance buff, and went hunting, making sure that the battle cry stays on for the entire time and something dragging attention away from Wahid, lowering our overall damage but giving him enough time to heal. Sadly, Duriel only dropped a unique composite bow, Rogue's Bow. I feel like I am repeating myself, but once again my nice, rare War Javelin ran its course and depleted over time. Once again making me farm for gear, and since I am playing the most gear dependent class in the game, there is really no avoiding that. Sure, I could play a Warcry build and somehow circumvent that, but where is the fun in that? This might be the saddest montage of the farming session I have ever included in one of the videos. But what can I say, I am getting excited when I see an item that I can use for the slot that is currently unoccupied. And really at this stage, exceptional bases are really powerful compared to the normal ones. Probably the best things I found were runes. One was Lamb rune, which can be used to create smoke. I won't use, but my merc will for sure. I just need to find good base. And another one was Lem, which I honestly did not expect to drop in Act 3 Nightmare. And with that I could do Treachery, which is one of the most busted armors for mercenaries in the game. With an ample supply of weapons, I pushed through the Durance of Hate, and just before Mephisto I found these rare boots with just an amazing set of bonuses. Sadly, they do not repair themselves, so eventually they will be useless. Damage is still not great. Hell, I am not having a single good piece of equipment, and I am still missing belt that could hold something more than 4 potions, so everything is falling off me. But with a bit of persistence and 2 trips to town, I was able to get Mephisto down. He dropped a sad bill for one injustice. After strutting around the plains of despair, I finally found Isuel to end his miserable life. And with the 2 skill points from him, I am now 1 point away from maxing double throw. Now I need to work on the only synergy that is double swing, but also throw some points into natural resistance and battle orders somewhere in between to keep me healthy. Didn't get much from the forge, so I just decided to move on. Act 5 can be a good place to farm some gear and levels, and I feel I will need to over level for hell to even have a chance of seeing this challenge to the end. Bosses so far are the enemies I struggle the most with. There is no real way to outrun them, it's just constant back and forth of throwing, backing up, throwing some more, mercenary dying. I really need to utilize Lamb Rune for treachery for him, as it will be a tremendous boost. I just don't have the proper base yet. Diablo dropped a unique full helm, Dusk Deep, which also would be very nice to use, but it is not ethereal. Worst part of this challenge is that my damage mostly rely on the quality of gear I possess, and there is no reliable way to get something good. Other than farming the super chest in Lower Kurast, I cannot really get something for the early Hell Axe to sustain me, so I wonder if getting into some easier terror zones would help me with this issue. Ancients were tough, I mean very tough. First of all, I don't have the damage. I need to keep my mercenary alive, and above all, ammunition is finite, so I have to be smart about using piercing attack and utilizing it whenever possible. So when there is a chance, I was trying to skewer 2 or 3 of them. Problem happened when my mercenary decided to leave this world, but at this stage I only had Talik to deal with, so with a little hit and run I might just have a chance to finish him off. Oh my, that is a great find! Ethereal socketed ground crown with 3 open sockets. It is going to be a perfect base for some nice rune ward like Bulwark for my merc. I just need that IO rune. I could not find a good body armor base, so I got a very basic breastplate, used my Larzuk's reward to carve the 3 sockets into it, and got treachery for my mercenary. This I am hoping will carry us to victory at least partially, thanks to both Venom and Fate procs, as well as this massive attack speed bonus. He should be a machine, a Terminator, going about life unfazed, destroying everything on our path. Somehow Bale wasn't as difficult as the Ancients, most likely due to the new shiny armor, but in general he was just taking much more damage and was more annoying than hard. In the end, Wahid gave his life so we could triumph over this difficulty, while I burned entire 8 potions from my belt. God, that belt is going to kill me, I swear. We got into terror zones to farm some levels, as it would be a major boost now, and I finally found a better belt than the one I had, so yay, another row of potions is available to me. Rare Great Pilum, this one is very nice and powerful, but I am yet to find a weapon with replenished quantity, so now I am keeping this one for hell, and I had a set ring drop. Fortunately for me, it was a part of Angelic set. With an amulet it would be quite good pair, but I doubt I'll find one. I leveled to 71 in the terror zones, took the best gear I had and started to go about clearing hell. As you can see, what I have is not ideal. Hell, some of the slots are still empty, but I am able to clear those monsters and push through. I would really like to find some nice ethereal items so I can imbue them. While doing Den of Evil, I found another free open socket helmet I could use for something, an ethereal ogre axe. That is a powerful weapon. Only problem is that it can only have maximum of 3 sockets. So it means a malice or mania, but I don't have a core rune for that one. Oh my, now this is quite a find. A magic heavy gloves with 20% attack speed boost increase. I think I might leave these for some harder fights, as they will break eventually, or maybe just trying to not get hit at all the time. I could not find an IO rune, but fortunately I had enough of the low runes to make one, so I can make a bulwark for my mercenary. He already is tanky thanks to the fate from treachery, but this will make him even bulkier, thanks to maximum life, replenish life, life leech and damage reduction. Grabbed Malus for better times and went for Andariel. And just before the fight, final belt upgrade drop, Ethereal Mesh Belt. I have a full capability of slots at my disposal. And well, boss fight was not going well. Merc was dying constantly, I wasn't dealing any damage. I saw there was a Stygian pike on the floor, turns out it was Ethereal and had 2 open slots. Perfect. With that I can create strength for Wahid. With crushing blow and decent damage, he should be able to take on bosses now. Even with that upgrade, it was still an uphill battle. He was dropping dead very fast, so visits to town were frequent. I also had to keep Battlecry active on her at all times, so damage would not be that catastrophic, and would be able to land a crushing blow on her easier. So with enough persistence, we finally put her down. She dropped a unique war sword, Colvin's Point. After that, I went back to farm possible bases in the pit, and I found this winged harpoon and flying axe, both ethereal. So now I can use normal and hell imbues to possibly get something that will carry me through until the end. For harpoon, I got lucky. It has some bonuses to damage, attack rating, mana leech and fire resistance. But finally, the first and only weapon I got replenished quantity on, so I can use it for eternity. With the flying axe I wasn't that lucky. Not only it got very bad bonuses with just minuscule upgrades over the normal version, it does not have replenished quantity, but there is plenty of it, so maybe it is my salvation after all. For the first time in a while, I am hopeful that I can finish this, as it was really tough until this point, as I could not really use imbue up to now for anything inferior, just because I knew that the hell would be, well, hell itself, so this was a bit of a safety button. Because Maggot Lair is one of 2 places I have no real ways to go through without teleport charges, I got jump attack and used it to go about the place and get the Staff of Kings. Same situation in Arcane Sanctuary. Ghosts are immune to physical damage, so let's just skip the fight to open the portal and go through to the canyon. Despite being an absolute bitch, Duriel was actually not that bad. He dealt a lot less damage than Andariel, which is kind of surprising to me, but I believe that the majority of his damage is cold, and Wahid spits in his face with capped out resistances, so in the end it was just keeping up the battle cry and triggering crushing blow. Not gonna lie, this challenge is really draining my patience. It does not help that I don't have that much time to play these days, and on top of that, every attempt at farming is just a tedious process, as I am not getting what I need, or stuff simply breaks. Moreover, my mercenary is enjoying gearing process much more than I do, as he constantly have good gear. I mean, how many times you have been able to get treachery in Nightmare on solo self-found run? I know, that is a first for me. Cherry on top would be that Mal rune to get the prudence for me, but at this point it is way too much to ask. I really hope this is the last time I have to visit this place. I don't think I ever farmed lower Kurast for all the wrong reasons you can see in this challenge. people are going to pilgrimage here to get high runes, but no, I am here to get the actual items to complete the game. It feels wrong. With Council, I managed to get every single one of them out of the temple and deal with them one by one. That was kind of lucky as they are pretty tough in hell, and my health, despite my towering posture, is not that great. So death is still very well on the table, but I am still pushing onward. I still had 3 open sockets helmet. I decided right before Mephisto to make use of it and repair my resistances with couple of runes, so I won't get one shot by his abilities. I can do the same with the armor, I just need to put some sockets into it. Thanks to the resistances, Mephisto was not as hardcore as usual. I was still getting blasted, but this time damage wasn't lethal by any means, and it took me only one trip to town to eventually get him down. I was excited when he dropped a unique mace as it was Crash Flange, but yet again it wasn't Ethereal, so it is useless. Somewhere during farming I found a worm hide that I can use and decided to not use it. I used Larzuk quest to put 4 open sockets into it and have an armor with resistances for the harder bits of the game, just like the helmet. Going through Plains of Despair I found an accidental Ko rune, which is honestly a great find, but I don't really have much use for it now. I could do Mania weapon for mercenary as it has a good damage and fanaticism, or Fishful Fall rune and potentially get a Ethereal Thresher to make obedience, but once again, like with Mal rune, this seems like an outlandish idea. Man, I really had a deja vu moment here in the Chaos Sanctuary. Progress is so slow, it feels like one of my earlier challenges, where I was learning the ropes of running the game faster and more efficiently, and yet I am finding myself in the very same position months later, relying on positioning, cunning and skill to outsmart my enemies. Before engaging in Factor of Souls, I took my very best gear from the stash and went hunting. Fortunately, there wasn't much issues with that, everything is just happening kind of slow. Diablo was once again a bit more problematic. His damage with his Lightning Breath and Firestorm is enough to almost one-shot my mercenary, so I had to get a little crafty and live on the edge for a moment. I decided to be a tank in this encounter to give Wahid enough headroom to trigger as many crushing blows as possible, before my health or potion stash run out, and repeat the process until Devil is dead. And because my lightning resistance is maxed and fire is decent, I did not take as much punishment as I thought I will. Diablo dropped a rare war javelin which was ethereal, but it was worse than what I have, so I don't think I will ever use it, especially that I have only one act to go through. This challenge took so long, and I mean previous one when I was running Fury Druid through the entire game, farming the hell out of it, and beating every pinnacle boss took just a couple of days longer, yet this one broke me, draining my patience, time and overall enjoyment as times went on. Still, I remarked at the beginning that I am getting the absolute worst class to attempt this, as Barbarian is the pinnacle of gear dependent choices in the game, and I believe his only build that requires a little less is Singer Barb, which still needs either mana regeneration or copious amount of mana, but it is especially bad at killing bosses. That said, it was never about how easy it will be, but if it is even possible, and it had to be tough. Without that, there would not be much point of running it, and I am glad it is finally coming to an end, despite me being absolutely miserable by this point. Throw Barb in general is very fun to play. Most of the times I was pushed to be a support for my tank and main damage dealer, but there were times I could eliminate weaker monsters very quickly so he could not divert his attention away. Skills like Battle Orders, Battle Command and Battle Cry were essential to see this to the end, as with the buffs we were able to outlive most of the encounters, and debuff of the Battle Cry could make or break the fight, especially during boss fights. With the Bale fight it was especially tough, since he has so much health, my throws are basically tickling him, so Crushing Blow was really the only way forward. But because he's constantly summoning appendages or his clone, the fight took approximately 20 minutes of back and forth between us, town, just to resupply. But finally, after all this time, we have conquered the Lord of Destruction and the challenge is over. This was our gear by the end. Wahid is stacked with treachery, strength and bulwark. My gear is just some random things found along the way, with rare winged harpoon made with the imbue being the best thing I got. Also 2 resistance pieces for helmet and armor that almost broke by the end. With build it is nothing special. I maxed out anything that was related to throwing, so that is mastery, double throw and double swing. Put a lot of points into battle orders, got pointed to jump attack for mobility, point into frenzy for movement attack speed and battle cry for debuff. With that, I think I will need a break from Diablo and likely next video or videos I will make will be from Gothic 2 with the expansion. Thank you very much for watching, stay tuned for more games and gaming challenges. Like it if you liked it and subscribe for more content. Challenger departs.